After a blazing start to 2022, things slowed down a bit in April. And we're not going to sugarcoat it, May is looking awful dry as well. But that's where this show comes in. Your backlog isn't going to last you another month, so we've dug up some gems to keep you in the game. If you're a big fan of Ghost of Tsushima, but have played it multiple times along with all its post-launch content, do we have a game for you? Trek to Yomi features the same setting, the same approach, the same lightning-fast violence, and a lot less color. It has a different perspective too, since this monochromatic hack-and-slash plays from a side-scrolling perspective. The combat is a bit simple, but any lack of complexity in play is compensated for with its stunning backgrounds and coming-of-age story. It's slated for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. No Switch version just yet, but we're guessing it's only a matter of time. Andy Serkis doesn't get many acting gigs these days, but he's found a new career in video games. He's a star of turn-based strategy game Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, where he plays your boss. Two things that are never in short supply these days are Warhammer 40k video games and XCOM clones. You get them both here, though Demon Hunters does seem to have a bit more narrative than most. With a cover system that feeds heavily into the number crunching, may you never miss on a shot with a 95% landing percentage. It's only coming to PC for now, but that will undoubtedly change in time. The original Udin Chronicles is a kickstarted game that was supposed to be the spiritual successor to the long-dormant Suikoden RPG franchise. It was the biggest video game Kickstarter of 2020, and it still hasn't been released. Somehow, this spin-off is already complete, but it does have a different focus. With an extensive town-building mechanic and action-driven 2D combat and traversal, it looks to be an appetizer for when the real thing launches in 2023. But if you're looking for some JRPG flavor this month, Udin Chronicles Rising is undoubtedly your best bet. Just about everyone is wrapping up Elden Ring at this point, and so you may be looking for your next stiff challenge. Look no further than Salt and Sacrifice. Sure, it's side-scrolling and 2D, but it's no less the heartbreaker. Featuring marionette-styled art and animation, no other game looks quite like it, and it has some additional layers to it like crafting and online cooperative and competitive play. It's the sequel to Salt and Sanctuary from 2016, which currently sits at an 84 Metacritic, so it's worth sacrificing some time and possibly some money to check it out. The Evil Dead movie franchise started as a hyper-gory, dead-serious, terrifying horror IP, until it transformed into a more slapstick take on the genre. We would argue the first approach is much better, and it appears that Evil Dead the game agrees. This objective-driven asymmetrical multiplayer game is low on cheap jokes and high on gore. Play as one of the survivors, or as one of the terrifying deadite demons that can control its minions while possessing inanimate objects. The game also appears to have a great deal of depth, with various character classes and weapon rarities to manage, along with the fright mechanic that will have you on the edge of insanity at all times. Best of all, it's only $40. We've been waiting for a great new Metroidvania game ever since, well, Metroid Dread. Soldiers just might fill the void. What really sets it apart is that you can play as multiple classes with wildly varying attacks, master new abilities, retrieve powerful artifacts, and use them to unlock new passageways in its labyrinthine level design. The pixel art, enemy design, and animation in Soldiers are truly impressive, and the game requires that you master your combat abilities or die trying. If there's one classic monster type that doesn't get the coverage it deserves in video games, it's probably vampires. Perhaps Castlevania set too strong of an example right out of the gate, but these blood-sucking freaks are surprisingly rare in the medium. The good news is there's an entire franchise dedicated to the ghouls, and Vampire the Masquerade Swansong is its latest interactive entry. Set in the World of Darkness universe, this action RPG empties the bank on ESRB M-rated descriptors, so you know it isn't pulling any punches. Its sprinkling of stealth and puzzle solving will keep you on your toes. Just stay away from any mirrors or Italian dinners. First-person shooters are a dime a dozen in the games industry, but sniper-driven outings are still mostly niche. There's the Sniper franchise, the Sniper Elite series, and that's about it. Sniper Elite 5 is here to fill that hankering for headshotting Nazis. Set in 1944 France, you're on a mission to kill all high-ranking officers and uncover an insidious missile plot before it's too late. Unlike a lot of sniping-focused games, there's legitimate adventuring to be done and plenty of close-quarters combat where machine guns are more appropriate. And don't forget, this is the franchise that has those gratuitous X-ray views every time you land a shot. Return to the 80s arcades with Arcade Spirits: The New Challengers. This is a sequel to the visual novel that acted like the video game crash of the early 80s never happened. This time, instead of running the arcade with all its intrigue, you're just one of its players hoping to find romance and esports glory within its walls. Speaking of walls, as a sifter, you'll find plenty of sharp humor that appeals, and a few fourth walls that are broken down. The original has an 80 Metacritic, so we have high hopes for this follow-up. If you're a fan of Sifted, then the phrase pack attack means something different. But for kids of the 80s, it conjures up thoughts of smoky arcades and the smell of burning transistors. If you could smell a video game, that's the aroma that PacMan Museum Plus would emanate. Featuring a staggering 14 different entries in this power pill munching franchise, it leaves no stone unturned. As you play each game, you earn tokens that can be used to unlock items to fill your virtual arcade with nostalgia. The game is $20 on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, but an extra $10 on Switch. Thanks for watching our recommendations for games worth buying in May 2022. If you like our content, please head to patreon.com/sifted and support us with a monthly pledge. We'll see you in June, where the selection will undoubtedly be much better.
I'll spoil those good...